You're listening to the Cyberwire Network, powered by N2K.
And now, a word from our sponsor, the Data Citizens Dialogues podcast. As a listener of this podcast, you're probably at least marginally interested in data, especially about all the different ways that it shapes our world. So I want to recommend the Data Citizens Dialogues podcast. This is a forward-thinking show brought to you by the folks at Calibra. They're the leaders in data intelligence. You're going to hear firsthand from all sorts of people, industry titans, innovators, executives from some of the largest companies as they dive into the hottest topics in data. You're going to get insights into everything from popular things such as AI governance and data sharing, down to more nuanced questions like how do we ensure data readability at a global scale? So, while data may be shaping our world, Data Citizens Dialogues is shaping the conversation. I want to encourage you to follow Data Citizens Dialogues on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Check it out. We thank Data Citizens Dialogues for sponsoring our show. CISA issues a warning about a critical security flaw in Palo Alto Networks Expedition tool. A federal agency urges employees to limit phone use in response to Chinese hacking. Law enforcement is perplexed by spontaneously rebooting iPhones. A key supplier for oilfields suffers a ransomware attack. Hewlett Packard Enterprise patches multiple vulnerabilities in its Aruba Networking access points. Cybercriminals use game-related apps to distribute Windows 4.0. Germany proposes legislation protecting security researchers. The TSA proposes new cybersecurity regulations for critical transportation infrastructure. Our guest is Aaron Griffin, chief architect from Sevco Security, sharing the discovery of a significant Apple iOS bug involving iPhone mirroring. And AI tries to wing it in a Reddit group, but moderators put a fork in it. It's Friday, November 8th, 2024. I'm Dave Bittner, and this is your Cyberwire Intel Briefing. Thanks for joining us here today. Happy Friday. It is always great to have you with us. The U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency has issued a warning about a critical security flaw in Palo Alto Networks Expedition tool used for firewall migration and configuration. The flaw, classified as a missing authentication vulnerability, enables attackers with network access to potentially hijack the Expedition admin account. This could grant cybercriminals access to sensitive configuration data, including credentials and highly privileged information. CISA stresses that the vulnerability poses a significant risk due to the level of access it grants, although there is no confirmation yet of active exploitation. Organizations using the Expedition tool are urged to apply Palo Alto's recommended mitigations. If these aren't feasible, CISA advises discontinuing the tool's use to prevent potential compromise. The deadline for federal agencies addressing this vulnerability is November 28th, as CISA emphasizes immediate action to mitigate any potential threat. Following the recent hack of U.S. telecommunications infrastructure by suspected Chinese operatives, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau issued a directive urging employees to avoid using mobile phones for work-related matters. According to the Wall Street Journal, an email sent Thursday from the CFPB's Chief Information Officer advised that sensitive internal and external meetings should be conducted only on secure platforms like Microsoft Teams or Cisco WebEx, not via phone calls or texts on either work-issued or personal devices. While there's no evidence the CFPB was specifically targeted, the guidance aims to reduce potential risk. This directive reflects heightened concerns among U.S. officials about the hack's severity, which has reportedly impacted major telecommunications firms. The guidance aims to reduce potential risk. The Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency has yet to comment on the incident. U.S. executive branch agencies briefed several House committees on Thursday about the hack by a Chinese-linked group known as Salt Typhoon that targeted major telecommunications companies and allegedly accessed the phones of Donald Trump's top campaign members and high-ranking U.S. officials. The House Energy and Commerce, Homeland Security, Intelligence, Judiciary, and Appropriations subcommittees received updates from the FBI, CISA, and other security agencies. The Senate will receive a similar briefing next week, with the Senate Intelligence Committee already being updated regularly. The breach, reportedly impacting numerous individuals, has drawn increased congressional concern. Telecommunications companies like Lumen have responded, though AT&T and Verizon redirected questions to the FBI. Federal agencies are investigating the incident, and the Cyber Safety Review Board plans its own inquiry. Policy discussions now focus on whether Salt Typhoon exploited telecom carriers' compliance with the Communications Assistance for Law Enforcement Act to gain unauthorized access. Law enforcement has reported an unusual issue where iPhones, securely stored for forensic examination, are rebooting unexpectedly, making them significantly harder to unlock. According to a document obtained by 404 Media, these reboots may be due to a potentially new security feature in iOS 18, which could cause iPhones disconnected from cellular networks to reboot after a certain time. When these devices reboot, they shift from an after first unlock state, which is easier to access, to a before first unlock state, which current forensic tools struggle to bypass. Some officials speculate that iOS 18 devices communicate with each other in secure settings, triggering reboots among nearby devices. Experts, however, remain skeptical about this hypothesis. The document advises forensic labs to isolate iOS devices and monitor any reboots closely to avoid losing valuable data access. This situation highlights the ongoing security tensions between law enforcement and phone manufacturers. New Park Resources, a key supplier for oilfields, reported a ransomware attack on October 29th, causing disruptions and limiting access to some internal systems. Despite this, New Park's manufacturing and field operations continue under established downtime procedures. In a regulatory filing, the company stated that financial reporting systems were impacted, but that the attack is not expected to materially affect its financial health. No group has yet claimed responsibility. Hewlett Packard Enterprise, HPE, a major tech company specializing in enterprise hardware and software, announced patches this week for multiple vulnerabilities in its Aruba Networking access points, widely used in business networks. Among the vulnerabilities are two critical command injection flaws, which could allow remote unauthenticated attackers to execute code as privileged users by sending a specially crafted packet to UDP port 8211. HPE advised that enabling cluster security and blocking access can mitigate risks. Additionally, 3 high-severity remote code execution vulnerabilities could allow authenticated attackers to compromise system files and execute commands. Patches were released through Aruba's bug bounty program with no evidence of active exploitation. Cybercriminals are using game-related apps to distribute Windows 4.0, a malware framework that grants full control over infected Windows systems. Rebuilt from the Ghost Rat malware, Windows 4.0 was detected in various gaming tools and optimization utilities, which lure users into downloading the infection. Similar to Cobalt Strike, the malware enables cyberespionage, ransomware deployment, and lateral movement. Once executed, the malware downloads a fake BMP file from a malicious server, beginning a multi-stage infection. The first DLL file establishes persistence and injects shellcode, while the second stage connects to a command and control server. Subsequent stages gather system details, check for antivirus software, and capture sensitive information, including crypto wallet data and screenshots. This final stage sets up a persistent backdoor, allowing the attacker long-term access. Fortinet warns users to download apps only from trusted sources to mitigate risk. Germany's Federal Ministry of Justice has proposed a law to legally protect security researchers who responsibly report vulnerabilities. The draft law, aimed at fostering IT security, exempts researchers from criminal liability when they act within defined parameters to identify and report security risks to responsible entities like system operators or the Federal Office for Information Security. This protection requires that the researchers limit system access strictly to what's necessary for vulnerability detection. The proposed amendment also imposes stricter penalties, with sentences from 3 months to 5 years for malicious data spying and interception, especially when targeting critical infrastructure or involving substantial financial damage, profit motives, or organized crime. The bill's details are under review by German states and relevant associations until December 13th, after which it will be presented to the Bundestag. This follows similar steps by the U.S. Department of Justice in 2022 to protect good faith security research. The Transportation Security Administration, the TSA, has proposed new cybersecurity regulations for critical transportation infrastructure, finalizing and expanding emergency directives issued after the Colonial Pipeline ransomware attack in 2021. This proposal, among the last cybersecurity policies of the Biden administration, targets nearly 300 entities in freight rail, passenger rail, rail transit, and pipeline sectors, requiring them to adopt mandatory cyber risk management programs, operational plans, and regular audits. Covered entities must also report incidents to the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency and comply with CISA's Secure by Design and Secure by Default standards. The proposed rule extends requirements to large hazardous liquid and carbon dioxide pipelines, critical suppliers to the Pentagon, and over-the-road bus operators. The TSA seeks public and industry feedback by February 5th of 2025, aiming to build a more permanent cybersecurity framework for transportation and align it across sectors like aviation and pipeline infrastructure. Coming up after the break, my conversation with Aaron Griffin from Sevco Security. We're discussing a significant Apple iOS bug involving iPhone mirroring. Stay with us. Hey everybody, Dave here. I want to talk about our sponsor, LegalZoom. You know, I started my first business back in the early 90s, and what I would have done to have been able to have the services of an organization like LegalZoom back then. Just getting all of those business ducks in a row, all of that technical stuff, the legal stuff, the registrations of the business, the taxes, all of those things that you need to go through when you're starting a business, the hard stuff, the stuff that sucks up your time when you just want to get that business launched and out there. Well, LegalZoom has everything you need to launch, run, and protect your business all in one place. And they save you from wasting hours making sense of all that legal stuff. Launch, run, and protect your business to make it official today at LegalZoom.com. You can use promo code CYBER10 to get 10% off any LegalZoom business information product, excluding subscriptions and renewals. That expires at the end of this year. Get everything you need from setup to success at LegalZoom.com and use promo code CYBER10. That's LegalZoom.com and promo code CYBER10. LegalZoom provides access to independent attorneys and self-service tools. LegalZoom is not a law firm and does not provide legal advice except where authorized through its subsidiary law firm, LZ Legal Services, LLC. When it comes to ensuring your company has top-notch security practices, things can get complicated fast. Vanta automates compliance for SOC 2, ISO 27001, HIPAA, and more, saving you time and money. With Vanta, you can streamline security reviews by automating questionnaires and demonstrating your security posture with a customer-facing Trust Center. Over 7,000 global companies like Atlassian, Flow Health, and Quora use Vanta to manage risk and prove security in real time. Our listeners can claim a special offer of $1,000 off Vanta at vanta.com/cyber. That's VANTA.com/cyber for $1,000 off Vanta. Aaron Griffin is chief architect at Sevco Security. I recently caught up with him to discuss their discovery of a significant Apple iOS bug involving iPhone mirroring.
What we found is that in the new iOS mirroring feature that they launched as part of iOS 18 and macOS Sequoia, that it appears that there's a data leak for application inventory from your phone. Due to a technical detail, I think, of the way that those applications get replicated to your Mac to do things like notifications, little bits of the feature that they drive. It inadvertently augmented your Mac's software inventory with every application that exists on your iOS device when the feature is enabled.
So for folks who may not be familiar with it, what exactly is iPhone mirroring?
Yeah, so that's actually one of the cooler features of the new version of iOS, that you can essentially mirror everything that you're doing on your phone to your Mac. So if you're on the go, you're gonna send a text. You've got a browser tab open, something like that. You come back to your computer and sit down. You can open up this iOS mirroring feature and continue your work from your computer. In some ways, it gives somewhat ironically extra privacy because maybe you can send text messages over iMessage in a way that doesn't get replicated to your MacBook rather than using iMessage on the Mac side.
I see. So what is under the hood here that you all suspect has gone wrong?
Yeah, so our suspicion is that in order to drive the notification flow that they have on the Mac, they're creating a stub inventory of all of the applications. And what I mean by stub inventory is a bunch of files that look like apps. They register themselves with the Mac's indexing service as applications, which is why they get picked up. But if you crack them open, they actually don't contain any form of executable code at all. It's really just icon sets and metadata. And so that's what does it. That's what ends up with augmented inventory.
So help me understand what the potential problem here is. How could personal information be exposed, for example?
Yeah, so from an employee perspective, I think the risk would be that you have an app that you don't necessarily want to disclose to your employer that you have installed because it doesn't really affect their security posture at all. Example might be that you live somewhere where VPNs are prohibited and you have that installed, or a dating app that reveals a sexual orientation, something that reveals a health condition. All of those being present in your corporate software inventory could be a pretty significant breach of your privacy.
I see. So it's that inventory of apps that are existing on your phone that gets revealed on the Mac that is the problem here.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It'll appear to your employer in their EDR console or whatever's doing this collection as though you have the Apple Watch app installed on your MacBook or anything else that you have installed. They'll be associated in that way.
I see. So you all have alerted Apple and they've been responsive here?
Yeah, that's exactly right. We reached out to them same day, and they were great about it. They treated it with urgency and let us know that there was going to be a fix issued fall of this year. And actually, that was the patch that Apple pushed out. I think it was Monday earlier this week, and we've confirmed that the issue, while parts of it are still present, the real dangers of it have been mitigated. they've updated the stub inventory on the Macs with a flag that stops them from being indexed. So while an EDR or a tool like that may be able to find that data if it went looking, it should stop incidental collection.
I see. So what are your recommendations then? Is it as simple as just making sure that you're up to date with the latest patches?
Yeah, that's for sure the first step. Making sure that you're up to date with the last patches. For the employer side, you should go through the inventory and make sure that you haven't incidentally collected any of this data that you don't want. Make sure that it gets cleaned out. That's liability that you probably don't want to have. And it's a good opportunity to have a conversation with your users about the privacy boundary that exists between work devices and personal devices. This particular privacy breach only happens if you're signed in on your personal iCloud to a work computer. It's common for there to be policies that don't really spell that out, and users will log in with their iCloud account to get all these cool features. Maybe they want to use Apple Music or the podcast. They want messages to sync, anything like that. It's a good opportunity to talk with them about the risks that potentially can convey when they intermingle them that way.
Our thanks to Aaron Griffin, Chief Architect from Sevco Security, for joining us. And now, a word from our sponsor, NordPass. NordPass is an advanced password manager from the team behind NordVPN, designed to help keep your business safe from data leaks and cyber threats. It gives your IT professionals control over who has access to your company's data and makes it easy for everyone else on your team to use strong passwords. Right now, you can go to www.nordpass.com/cyberwire for 35% off the NordPass Business Yearly Plan. Don't miss out on that. And finally, friends, buckle up. We're about to dive into a tale that's as interesting as fork. But let's keep it family-friendly by saying fork whenever we mean that other word. Reddit's legendary community, Interesting as Fork, just faced an AI invasion, and boy, were they having none of it. Last Friday, a post titled "Mother's Love is Universal," showing a heartwarming scene of a parrot sheltering chicks from the rain. Aw, right? Well, not so forking fast. Redditors with eagle eyes, or should we say parrot eyes, quickly spotted telltale glitches, dodgy lighting, shadow errors, and the classic signs of AI trickery. The post raked in 12,000 upvotes before moderators yanked it, declaring, "Fork no! This doesn't even meet our species standards." With 13 million members, Interesting as Fork is one of Reddit's biggest and oldest subreddits, and the moderators take interesting very seriously. One mod noted that AI-generated content not only misleads viewers, but can undermine genuine, curiosity-sparking content. The AI parrot? Well, it wasn't tagged as AI, it wasn't a real bird behavior, and not even the species the title claimed. Here's the real kicker. Reddit's loose policy on AI content lets communities decide their own rules. Some subs embrace the bots, others boot them to the curb. Interesting as Fork keeps the standards high, while other sites online like, Facebook are awash in AI spam. So what are the stakes? As AI becomes more realistic, the line between real and fake gets blurrier. So the next time you see a parrot doing people-level parenting, maybe pause and think, is this real or just interesting as fork? And that's the Cyberwire. For links to all of today's stories, check out our daily briefing at thecyberwire.com. A quick program note, we are not publishing Saturday through Monday in observance of the Veterans Day holiday. We'll have a special edition for you on Sunday, and Rick Howard's Veterans Day episode of CSO Perspectives for All on Monday in your CyberWire daily feed. We'd love to know what you think of this podcast. Your feedback ensures we deliver the insights that keep you a step ahead in the rapidly changing world of cybersecurity. If you like our show, please share a rating and review in your favorite podcast app. Please also fill out the survey in the show notes or send an email to cyberwire@n2k.com. We're privileged that N2K Cyberwire is part of the daily routine of the most influential leaders and operators in the public and private sector, from the Fortune 500 to many of the world's preeminent intelligence and law enforcement agencies. N2K makes it easy for companies to optimize your biggest investment, your people. We make you smarter about your teams while making your teams smarter. Learn how at n2k.com. This episode was produced by Liz Stokes. Our mixer is Trey Hester, with original music and sound design by Elliot Peltzman. Our executive producer is Jennifer Eiben. Our executive editor is Brandon Karp. Simone Petrella is our president, Peter Kilpie is our publisher, and I'm Dave Bittner. Thanks for listening. We'll see you back here next week. The IT world used to be simpler. You only had to secure and manage environments that you controlled. Then came new technologies and new ways to work. Now, employees, apps, and networks are everywhere. This means poor visibility, security gaps, and added risk. That's why Cloudflare created the first-ever connectivity cloud. Visit cloudflare.com to protect your business everywhere you do business.